Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind Raleigh. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week I try to talk to people about things you could do in your neighborhood. On this week's show,
be able to walk on that stage where so many people have been before.
As much as being off the grid is amazing.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind Raleigh.
Going off the grid can be exciting, but losing cell service, not so much. The good news is that problem is getting solved. Travel journalist Kinga Philipps is joining us live from West Virginia to share how new satellite technology is changing the way we stay connected outdoors. Hi, Kinga. It's great to have you here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
That is a stunning backdrop behind you. Tell us about where you are.
I am in beautiful Dorsey's Knob Park here in West Virginia, and not only is it gorgeous, but it is very remote, which makes it the perfect location for me to talk about T-Mobile's new T satellite service, which allows people across the United States to stay connected even in the most remote areas.
Dead zones have always been a headache for travelers, so what's different now?
Well, you're so right. You know, in fact, there are over 500,000 square miles across the United States where no matter how awesome your mobile provider is, there are still dead zones. And we're talking about national parks, farmland, rural areas, along freeways even. And what's so cool about T-Satellite and the service is that if you can see the sky, you are connected, which is obviously invaluable for people who are adventuring, exploring, hiking, backpacking, for travelers, and even the people who work and live in these areas. Not to mention the fact that most of us around the United States now have to contend with extreme weather events or natural disasters. So it's a real game changer.
Walk us through how T-Satellite with Starlink actually works.
Well, the technology is super cool. So T-Satellite is partnered with Starlink, and they utilize over 650 of their satellites that are constantly rapidly circling the globe. And so that essentially acts like cell towers out in space. So no matter where you are in the US, even in the remote corners, you are connected. And this technology is really cool because it works on just about every smartphone that's been built in the last 4 years. And it is automatic on the best T-Mobile plans. But even if you have a different plan or a different provider, say Verizon or AT&T, this is a service that you can purchase for $10 a month.
Why is having a connection still important, even if you want the off-the-grid experience?
I love the off-the-grid experience. I am constantly backpacking in the wilderness. I'm out there for play and for work. But I have also worked with search and rescue teams all over the world. I have come across people in the wilderness who have been injured and needed help. I was even in a situation myself where my dog got hurt and she's too big to carry out, and I needed a call for search and rescue and had to find someone with a satellite device to be able to do that. So as much as being off the grid is amazing, it is so important for safety and information purposes to be able to have that connection when you need it.
You mentioned those rural areas earlier. What does this mean for families and people living in those areas?
Well, T-Mobile's already leading the way in introducing connectivity to these rural areas, but now T-Satellite essentially adds an extra layer of security for everyone in these places. And what the service provides is you have SMS texting, you have location sharing, and you have texting to 911, which is available on both Apple and Android phones. They're also working right now on increasing data, so you'll be able to share voice messages and photos. They are partnering with apps like AccuWeather, AllTrails, and WhatsApp, so you'll have that additional layer. And what I really love sharing is that T-Mobile believes that everyone should be able to have peace of mind. And so the 911 texting is going to be available to absolutely everyone for free on every compatible phone without having to have a particular service or be subscribed to the plan.
Sounds like you got all the bases covered. And finally, where can viewers go to get some more information?
They can visit T-Mobile.com, and all the information that I just provided you is right there.
Thanks so much, Kinga.
Thank you so much for having me.
Back to school season is here, and while many families are focused on new routines, there's also a serious conversation that we just can't ignore: protecting teens' mental health and helping them make healthy choices. The CDC has launched a new campaign called Free Mind to guide families having those important talks. So joining us today is Dr. Grant Baldwin, Director of the CDC Division of Overdose Prevention. Welcome to the show, Dr. Baldwin. How are you?
That's fine. Thanks so much.
All right, let's start with some of the bigger picture items. Why are or how are mental health and risky behaviors connected in young people?
So as our teens experience stress, anxiety, worry, and even some bouts of depression, we need to make sure that they turn away from substances and turn towards healthy coping strategies. We're in the midst of a mental health crisis. We know that 4 in 10 American high schoolers report prolonged feelings of sadness or hopelessness greater than 2 weeks. And 1 in 5 have reported contemplating suicide. And there are real consequences if you do turn towards substances in the here and now and long term. Immediately, we know that the marketplace is rife with fentanyl. So use of substances can lead to overdose and death just on a single use. And longer term, we know that early initiation of substance use is linked to a range of problematic outcomes, including problematic substance use in adulthood, addiction, and a range of other health conditions. That's why it's so important to intervene early.
So what are some of the warning signs parents and caregivers should be watching out for when it comes to teens' well-being?
Yeah, so as a parent myself, we all know our teens best. So you should look for changes in mood or irritability. Maybe your teen becomes withdrawn in ways that you're not used to. Sudden weight loss or weight gain. Once they're back in school, maybe their school performance isn't what you're used to. All of these things can be signs that your teen is struggling with their own mental health. And we as parents need to set up kind of a judgment-free zone to have open-ended conversations where our teens feel heard and safe, and our unconditional love to have these difficult conversations.
So why is it so important for parents to have open conversation with their kids about the challenges that they may be facing?
Yeah, these are tough conversations to have, but it's really important for our teens to understand that it's okay to not be okay. In fact, that's one of the core premises of the Free Mind Campaign. So for parents and caregivers, it provides conversation starters and fact sheets and videos and other resources help guide them through having some of these crucial conversations. And for teens themselves, it's really teen-centric. It's a campaign that's really about empowerment and personal agency. So for our teens, they can recognize the impact that substance use has on brain development. But as important, as I said, that it's okay to not be okay, that they should reach out through their parent, caregiver, or other trusted adult to make sure that they're linked up to a licensed professional counselor or social worker, and can receive the supports they need to develop healthy coping, or if they're in a mental health crisis, be able to attend to that crisis.
So what tips do the CDC recommend for parents that may not know how to begin these conversations?
Yeah, I would encourage parents to go directly to the website at cdc.gov/free mind to walk them through how you have these conversations, and what challenges that you may face when having them, and ultimately set yourself up and as well as your teen up for success. Again, folks can check out cdc.gov/free mind for more information.
Dr. Baldwin, thanks for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
From pop hits to powerful faith-filled anthems, Stars Go Dim has built a global following. Now, frontman Chris Cleveland is back with a brand new album called Roses, a project years in the making that blends retro grooves with heartfelt lyrics. He also just celebrated a milestone moment with his debut at the Grand Ole Opry. Chris joins us now to talk about it all. Welcome to the show, Chris. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Roses, it was just released. What was the inspiration behind this album, and how does it reflect where you are right now in life?
Oh, so much. I think anytime with music, the best way to make it is to make music that means something to you in the moment, and just to be as honest as possible. And so this record is the first record I produced 100% myself, and so it's the most authentic me record. It's really vintage, it's really soulful, it's vibey, and then just the content of the album is all about just taking a step back, like really slowing down and seeing like the greatest pieces of life are in these small moments that sometimes if we're too busy we just fly past. And so hopefully as people hear this, they have a really good time as they listen to the record, but they can also slow down and enjoy those small pieces and moments of life.
And the album, it mixes faith and everyday life in a really unique way. Can you share how your songwriting process brought those themes together?
Absolutely. I think with this album, I wrote every single song from one question. It's a question I've asked myself a lot of times, especially if you're a person of faith, is like, in the very best and in the very worst of life, how does this thing work with God? Like, how does he meet us? Does it? And these songs are kind of answers to those questions. And as I went through, I think I realized more and more, especially with my co-writers, that I think God meets us the most in these seemingly small moments. And not saying that these big, huge miracles and things can't happen. It just hasn't been my experience in life. But what I have seen is the incredible joy, the incredible love, the incredible life, the incredible faith through those small moments. And so that's what a lot of these songs, every song, is all about.
And also, congratulations on making your debut at the Grand Ole Opry. That's pretty massive. How was that night like for you?
Incredible. You know, I've been traveling and playing since I was 10 years old. I turned 40 this year, so 30 years. And so it felt like a really awesome celebration of a career. And I grew up in Oklahoma, and so my grandma was a songwriter. And so I've always been aware of the Opry and how much it meant. And so my family and I have lived in Nashville now for almost a decade. And so to be able to walk on that stage where so many people have been before, it was a really special moment.
And one of your standout tracks is your song, which you dedicated to fans. What is some of the what is that connection with your listeners mean to you?
Everything. I think I wrote this song specifically for people. Like, if you've ever needed just a song to make you feel better than you do right now, that's what your song is all about. From the lyric to the feel, as soon as it comes on, you just want to crank it up, throw the windows down, and just blast it. And hopefully when you do that, you're going to feel better once the song is over than when it started. And that's what your song is all about, just to make you feel great.
Chris, thanks for joining me this morning. Check out Chris Cleveland's new album, Roses, From Stars Go Dim. It's out now everywhere music is sold and streamed. For more information on the music, videos, and tour dates, just go to his website, starsgodim.com. Thanks for joining me this morning, Chris.
You bet, man. Thank you.
Travel isn't just about where you're going. It's also about how often we're packing our bags, how much we're spending, and why sometimes a vacation really is the best medicine. Talker Research just released their 2025 Travel Trends Report, and it's given us a peek in how Americans are traveling this year. So joining me are Van Darden, Director of Media Relations for Talker Research. Welcome to the show, Van. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with the big picture. What stood out to you most from this year's Travel Trends Report?
Yeah, well, this year's report gave us a really interesting snapshot of how Americans are traveling and how travel is tied to so much more than just vacation photos. We identified three major takeaways in this year's report. By the numbers first, the average traveler takes 2.5 trips per year and spends $3,500 annually on travel. And that's not including luxury or international trips. That's just domestic travel. Our second big finding, travel could equal better mental health. People reported feeling 67% better mentally after taking a trip, and 40% of people with excellent mental health say that travel is a huge part of their lives. That's compared to 12% of people with poor mental health who say that travel is a part of their lives. And then third, how technology and social media feeds into inspiration sources. For example, YouTube came out over top overall. That's the number one place that people go for travel inspiration. Gen Z, on the other hand, are looking at TikTok to get inspired, and millennials are embracing kind of emerging AI tools like ChatGPT to both get inspired and help plan their trips.
Excellent to be lucky enough to have no mental health problems and be able to travel more. I'm part of that last group. You dug into generational differences. How does travel look different for, let's say, millennials and compared to boomers?
Yeah, that was one of the more interesting things that we found as well. So millennials, we found, were the most travel hungry generation. Millennials average 4.2 international trips in their lifetime, which may not sound like a lot over the span of someone's life, but 44% of baby boomers, on the other hand, say that they have never traveled abroad. So a big difference there in those generations. Another big generational divide showed up around social media and how people use it and react to it while traveling. 39% overall of everybody that we looked at said that they feel pressure to post vacation content while traveling. That number jumps higher the younger that you are. Gen Z and millennials, 55% and 51% respectively, feel this strong pressure to post while traveling. Boomers, just 15% say that they feel that same pressure to pull out their phones and post. Then, of course, there's the do it for the gram mindset. 1 in 3 people admit to doing things while traveling just to be able to post it on social media. Doing it for the gram is still very much alive.
There you go. And it sounds like pulling off a report like this takes a heck of a lot of work. What goes into gathering and analyzing all this data?
Yeah, well, like you said, pulling off a report like this is definitely a big lift, but it's also one of the most exciting things that we do at Talker Research. What makes our process really special is the scale and the flexibility of the data that we can tap into. We've talked already a lot about age differences, generational differences. We can also look at regional differences, even state by state breakdowns. And it's certainly looking at emerging trends over time. It's a big piece of this piece of research that we did here talking about today. What all of this is designed to do is help uncover unexpected insights and plan for the future. What we really do is help brands establish themselves through thought leadership, help companies make strategic decisions and spot emerging trends. Again, a couple of years ago, we weren't even talking about AI as it relates to travel planning, and yet it's a huge piece of so many people's travel plans and pre-planning to take a trip. I think one of the key takeaways is that large data reports like this are vital for staying relevant in a fast-changing world, and that is true for any company, any brand, any industry, in any sector. You got to stay on top of the trends, and we can help you do that.
So what types of trips are people most excited about right now, and what kind of seems to be kind of losing the steam?
Right. Well, the vibe right now that we're hearing is relax and recharge. So think taking a vacation to the beach, spending a weekend at the lake, maybe getting out of the city and spending some time in the country. All of these kind of relaxation kind of trips is what people are saying is trending right now for what they want to do. All of this over the more adrenaline junkie vacations like ski trips, which was at the bottom of the list. Backpacking, also least popular. I guess people really want to slow down, not really work too hard for it, and just really relax. We also asked about a bucket list for people who want to take trips. The number one bucket list dream vacation right now, a road trip across the USA, was the number one. 32% of everybody said that's what they want to see. The Statue of Liberty came in at number 5. Of course, there were some perpetual favorites internationally, like exploring Paris, seeing the Northern Lights in Iceland, and seeing the cherry blossoms bloom in Japan. But really, one of the main trends that we're seeing is that domestic travel is trending, and that goes even for bucket list vacation.
Excellent. Yeah, I just got back from a trip, and I want to go back. That's where I want to be. If anyone wants to check out this full report or dive deeper into some of these findings, where should they go?
Yeah, talkerresearch.com/travel. There was so much more data we didn't have time to talk about today. So many trends that we didn't get a chance to speak on. talkerresearch.com/travel. You can see the full report. Might get inspired.
Van, you are the man. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks so much.
Do you ever feel like everyone in your town knows everything about your life? Now imagine that. But, in the Arctic. North of North is Netflix's latest Canadian original comedy, and it follows Siaja, a young Inuk woman navigating small-town gossip, single motherhood, and discovering herself in the snowy, tight-knit community. She's fierce, she's funny, and pretty much not afraid to fall on her face. And bringing her to life is the incredibly talented Anna Lambe, who's here with a fresh new series that's as heartfelt as it is hilarious. Welcome to the show, Anna. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so your character Siaja kind of makes some of these big, bold moves right from the start of the series. What drew you to her story, and what parts of her journey felt especially personal for you to play?
I mean, from the moment that I read the audition sides, I was so deeply invested. I loved that she was well-intentioned, but so incredibly messy and complicated, and had all of these dynamics around her, a complicated relationship with her mother, an unsatisfying marriage, but a dream and an ambition that she wanted something else for herself. And to, tell this story, which is like a second coming of age, this young woman deciding that she wants a life that she wants to live. She wants, something that is different, and she wants to put herself first for the first time in her life, was so exciting. And the showrunners, Alethea Onukak-Burrell and Stacey Aucklook-McDonald, are, the producers of the first ever film that I did when I was 15 years old, called The Grizzlies. And it really was a full circle moment, coming back together and going from Grizzlies, which was this little indie film, to now North of North for Netflix. It was just, I spent months auditioning for it and many days crying about it, hoping that it would work out. And it did. And I'm so incredibly proud of what we created.
And I'm glad it did. The show, it balances comedy with some like real emotional depth. How did you find that balance as an actor, especially with some of Siaja's like tougher moments?
Yeah, I think finding it as an actor might have been difficult if I wasn't from Iqaduit, if I wasn't Inuk, because that is so representative of how we do navigate hard times in our lives and how we deal with things. You know, Inuit humor, it can be so dry, it can be so silly, but, you know, there's so much trauma that exists within our community, there's so much hardship that a sense of humor is how we get through it and how we face the really difficult things. So doing that, and especially with Micah Harper, who plays Nivi, who's also from Iqaduit, having kind of being on the same level as someone and really understanding each other and each other's history and what you're bringing to a scene and how you really kind of create that, you know, I love you so much, but oh, do you make me angry, was so, you know, what we knew already. So it was, I think as an actor, a real privilege to be able to get to do that swing of emotion, the really silly, like high comedy, kind of clowny stuff, all the way to, you know, the heartbreaking, kind of punches you in the stomach stuff.
And North of North it's comedy, but it's also a huge moment for Inuit storytelling. What does it mean for you to be a part of a project led by Inuit creators, filmed in the Arctic and starring an Indigenous cast?
It's so exciting. You know, as we were getting ready to film the show and as we were filming the show, you know, a lot of people would say like, oh, does it feel like a lot of pressure? Do you feel a lot of pressure doing this and telling this story? And shockingly, no, because the showrunners are Inuit women from the North. You know, Micah Harper is an Inuk woman from the North. Zorga Khaunak is an Inuk woman from the North. And so it was like the shared responsibility of representing the community in the best way possible. And we got so much love back from Iqaduit, from people from Iqaluit, and from the territory as a whole, you know, from the designers that contributed work to our show, to, you know, other filmmakers that wanted to support us, to the community just showing up and supporting us in whatever way that they could. So it always reframed things in the big picture of, we're not just creating a show, we're not just, you know, doing these roles and doing this for our own careers. It's always about the community, it's always about the bigger picture, and it's always about, you know, telling the story and what that could mean for people when they watch it. So it's just been a real privilege. It's been really exciting, and it's been a beautiful thing to share this with, you know, people that just love this show and love the North. And now, you know, an international audience gets to watch it, which is pretty cool and exciting.
Anna Lambe, thanks for joining me this morning. Check out North of North. It's available now on Netflix. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Ever wonder what it would look like if your favorite assassin showed up to a missing persons case with zero fear, a leather jacket, and enough charm to make you forget she's, well, lethal? You might know her from Cowboy Bebop, Jurassic World, or The Detour, but in The Accountant 2, Daniella Pineda is stepping into a whole new world of secrets, strategy, and survival. Welcome to the show, Daniella. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Well, it looks like you open up the film with a bang, literally. In that tavern scene with J.K. Simmons,
Yeah.
How did you tap into Nias's cold confidence from the start?
You know, something that I found in the audition process, I read the sides, which are like the scene they give you for the audition, and I didn't know anything about it. They don't tell you anything. I mean, you don't know anything until like 2 weeks after you've booked the part. Like, I got access to the script, so I really was in the dark. But I made an educated guess that this was someone who was a little scary and supposed to be intimidating. And so when I was auditioning, I worked with this guy named Tyler Rice, and he just kept saying, let's make her more still. Make her more still. Don't blink. Can you do this scene and not blink? And I was just like, holy. this is so different for me. Because everything I've done before has been kind of animated or silly or, you know, whatnot. So this was like a major, major departure from that. Yeah, it was basically a good character study on how to be scary, which is not a lot of movement.
All right, and there's also like this line in the notes about Anais being relaxed and chill, even in chaos. Was that fun to play, or was it like trying to really difficult to find the balance of being calm and also a psycho killer?
Oh, it was really fun. It was super fun. Actually, while I was shooting that scene, I was reading this book just totally by chance called Sociopath, a memoir, which I recommend to everybody. It was absolutely fascinating and also like very educational about people who have you know, that disorder or that diagnosis. But it was really fun to play someone who's just devoid of any fear. It was a little liberating. Not to say I condone bad behavior. You know, I'm a huge empath and a cuddle bug, but it was kind of liberating and fun.
And this is a world of intense physicality, like fight scenes, escapes, you know, all of that. What kind of prep or training went into you building your character?
Cynthia and I really went through the ringer in the best way. We both had to learn Muay Thai, which I've done a lot of fight training before, but I'm not super versed in Muay Thai, so that was a departure for me, like a lot of kicks, which I love boxing. Like I just want to box, so kicking is like tough for me. But we did a lot of wonderful rehearsals and a lot of training. My stunt double, Bronte Colugio, who's like, she's a freak of nature. She really, really held my hand throughout all of this. And yeah, it was tough. I mean, I almost like fractured my foot, and on the day was tough, but Cynthia and I worked so hard together, and she's also a lovely, lovely human being. So it really made that fight scene just more fruitful and fun. And for me, it was the highlight of the movie.
And there's also a huge undercurrent of mystery for your character. Without spoiling anything, I know a lot unfolds throughout the film, but what should audiences be watching for her in this storyline?
I think they should just be watching her and paying attention. This is also a movie I want to say is not something you go and watch at home. I mean, yes, it will be available streaming at home, but it really is meant for the theater. Like, you can't be on your phone playing Tetris and then half watching the movie because you're going to miss it. So this is definitely a pay attention type film. But I would just say watch her because you're probably going to see her again.
Excellent. Yeah, because I also have my weird murder wall of all the photos and stuff that with strings attached to each other, trying to figure out what's going on in my life. Yeah.
Charlie Day, Always Sunny wall.
Oh, yeah. I got it right here. Don't look, though. I want to thank you for joining me this morning. You got to check out The Accountant 2. It's in theaters now. Thanks for joining me, Daniella.
Thank you so much.
And that is it for Rise and Unwind Raleigh. If you want to be on the show, go to our website. That's riseunwindtv.com. We have a Facebook, we have an Instagram, and if you want to follow us on YouTube, that is at Rise Unwind. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and be updated for future videos. And until next week, that was Rise and Unwind Raleigh.